Guys, this is Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge, and in this morose, fresh afternoon I would like to update you about politics, COVID and economics developments here in Belarus. I hope you'll enjoy the next couple of minutes with me. Thank you very much for your comments, questions and donations. Let's go. I guess our main political news is that the average temperature now is +5 centigrade. It's quite miserable, overcast sky, fresh. Really not a weather for a walk. To be serious though, we've just had the Union conference online between the presidents of Russia and Belarus, and they have signed a few papers. Some analysts believe that there's nothing breakthrough about the papers that have been signed. There's 28 of them that have been verified online, and apparently there's also some bureaucratic trail that will have to go into January and February next year. Mostly that's papers about military and migration cooperation, immigration politics. So in here I know for sure that the mutual acceptance of visas between the two countries has been discussed, and well, hard to tell to which end they have been discussed, because the paper has not been published saying specifically that from this and this date Russian visas work for Belarus and the other way around, and respectively our greatest achievement possibly is Belarusian TRP, Belarusian visas working for Russia. One of the last year's participants has been jailed for 3 years. The guy was walking on the street during the rallies. He was clapping with his hands, screaming some kind of wrong slogans, and it got him 3 years in jail. He was accused of disrupting the work of businesses, public organizations and public transportation. So this whole thing is still going on, and people get jailed or pushed out of the country for their wrong views. That's something happening if you are involved in politics. In total, about 60,000 people applied for temporary permanent residency permits abroad. They left Belarus in 2020 and early 2021. The migration out of the country continues. Apparently, the tensions are mounting up at the Polish border as our eastern guests are lining up in the city center, Gallery in Minsk, and other central stations and spots are full of people who look like they packed for camping. Some buddies of mine in the market north of Minsk said that the camping section, camping shops, fishing shops are just overcrowded with the guys who don't speak any Russian, mostly Arabic or Kurdish, and that's gonna make a trouble. By the end of the season it's gonna be quite chilly down there at the border, and it's not really easy to trespass it. That's what they're planning to do. The Foreign Ministry of Belarus released a statement saying that Poland is escalating the tensions at the border. I will not comment on that, of course. And the Polish accused the Belarusian border guards of trespassing the border. Armed men were spotted coming into onto the Polish territory and backwards, and that makes the two parties more and more, let's say, into the argument, takes them more into the argument about the whole matter. Minsk National Airport is standing by to get more consequences from the sanctions. Apparently the 5th package of sanctions is going to hit the country in early December, and the airport may be switched off, plugged off out of the international navigation system, which apparently is going to hurt or affect all the western bound flights. So the MSQ people are claiming they are in the profit this year, and they are mostly redesigning their flights, replanning their flights to the east, which in a way is true basically. The debtors before the Social Security Fund are increasing in numbers. Apparently most of them are in the agricultural sector, whose outstanding debt before the pension fund, calling it simply, is not published anymore. And the story goes about 47,000 people have their employers not paying these pension allocations, so this may affect their pension and retirement in future. As the rides are getting more expensive in the shuttle buses of Vitebsk now, the tax per flat is now charged from the flat owners. If previously you had to pay tax for an extra property you had, meaning every second, third flat, and apparently there's some 200,000 people in the country who own more than one flat. From the next year, from 2022, they would have to pay 50 rubles for their second flat, for the first flat as well, and the tax in the province is going to be twice as low, about 25 rubles for the flat. But they're still working out the details, I guess. After they refused to sponsor the ice hockey championship that never took place last year, Nivea and Skoda were banned from the country. There's temporary ban for import, and it's going to be extended for another half a year. Apparently, no more of these things in the shops in Belarus. People's average income here in Belarus continues dropping. Last month, only in 26 districts in Belarus out of 118, the salary went up, and only in 20 of them it was just by 20 rubles. Mostly it's dropping, and the worst drop is in Soligorsk district, where they have this potash mine factory, which is one of the biggest GDP makers in Belarus. Their salary dropped by a few hundred rubles. There's also inflation increasing in Belarus. Prices are going up. It's a worldwide trend, I'm told, but food prices went up by approximately 10%. And now there is a buckwheat exports ban from Belarus, and also the ban to export wheat flour. So they will hold for this winter, apparently. The harvest prices are going up, affected by several factors. International logistics is, let's say, cocking up, it's failing, and apparently that pushes the prices up universally, not just in Belarus. Also, the harvest seasons for the new merchandise are up traditionally, and that affects the prices for potatoes, carrots, cabbage, whatever stuff they harvest at the moment. So we might end up with pretty bad pricing for the food next year. And our favorite topic, COVID. There's, as always, there's about 2,000, never more, 2,000 cases of COVID reported a day. There's some 16, 17 dead a day, not more than 20 on all occasions. I have pretty primitive sources in the field. My priest in the north says that the issues are pretty ugly, while a headstone business person from my area, from Stalce, says, well, COVID is not necessarily the cause of death, but it's quite popular, so the disease exists. Apparently, the healthcare sector wanted 250 million rubles allocated to tackle COVID. Half of that was allocated, 140 million, and most of that money has been used by now. Also, there is an medical oxygen, I guess, exports ban here in Belarus, so none of it can be exported into other countries. Not sure what this means industrially, but apparently hospitals need that stuff. Vaccinations are still pretty much voluntary, as much as the masks are. Masks were cancelled by our president a couple of weeks ago in public. It's up to you whether or not you want to wear them. Only on public transport they're kind of mandatory, and the car attendants or security ask you to wear the masks, although my friends tell me that it's really like 50-50 ratio. Some people are more reasonable than others, and some reasonable recent proof may be more reasonable or less reasonable than the previous dope that you got on the screen of Facebook or whatever media. I guess nowadays everybody believes in what they want. Tell me what you think about it. Australians, congratulations from Belarus. I guess you guys are now opened up. Very few deaths a day, and you can now travel. So I'm happy. I'm sharing this with you. Regards from Belarus. And I hope that the whole world will more or less open up by next year, and this may or may not happen so. Speaking of travel, everything is as it used to be. The sanctions are in place, so the only flights available to Belarus now are Moscow. Transit visa is likely to be required for your passport, check that. Istanbul and Georgia, pretty expensive flights, not very handy. Dubai as well, I guess not the cheapest one. You have to be vaccinated to lift self-isolation or the PCR test requirement. That will allow you to stay less than 7 days if you have to. Unless you are transporting stem cells, go on the diplomatic passport, I guess not your preferred options, or you are on a business visit, so you may arrange this with your business partners or ask me about how it works. I'll be happy to share technical details with you. My contacts and donation links are under the video. And if you are undertaking a trip to our charming country, which has its pluses in our rough times, I'll be happy to assist you the way I can as a translator and tour guide and everything else here on the ground. Thank you very much for watching the video. Press a like or a dislike, follow the channel, and if you have $5 or $10 that you can wire to help the channel, the donation links are under the video. Thank you very much. Hope to see you in Minsk someday. The Expats Sunday meeting is this Sunday. Announcement with the address is under the video too. Hope to see you here. Stay safe and cheers.